Imagine being locked away for 2 long years, not because of a crime, not because of violence, but because of a broken system. 28 men, fathers, brothers, sons, trapped inside ICE detention, cut off from the world, clinging to hope. This is their story, a story of survival, resilience, and injustice. Before we dive deep into this powerful journey, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because stories like this deserve to be heard, and together, we can give them a voice. Alright, this is a continuous narrative, in storytelling form, mixing factual realism with dramatic tension to keep viewers engaged. 28 men sat behind cold steel doors, their lives suspended in a place that felt outside of time. The year was 2018 when the first of them arrived, each plucked from different corners of the United States, some from small towns, others from busy cities, all connected by one thing: they were immigrants who had been caught in the net of ICE, immigration and customs enforcement. None of them expected what was coming. They thought detention would be temporary, a few days at most, maybe a month. They never imagined it would turn into 2 long years of waiting, of fighting, of praying for freedom. Inside the facility, the days blurred into each other. The men called it the land of no clocks. There were no windows that showed daylight, no natural rhythm of life. Fluorescent lights buzzed endlessly, washing everything in pale yellow. Meals came in plastic trays, beans, rice, sometimes mystery meat, and that was how they tracked time. Breakfast at 6, lunch at 11, dinner at 4:30. Beyond that, time was a ghost. Some of them lost count of the days. Others carved marks on the walls, tallying months that turned into years. Most of the men had families outside. There was Jose, a father of 3, who used to work construction in Houston. His youngest daughter was only 6 when he was detained, and by the time he saw her again, she was nearly 9, her childhood slipping away while he sat in a cell. There was Samuel, a quiet man from Nigeria who had fled violence back home, only to find himself locked up in America, the country he believed would give him safety. There was Luis, a young man in his 20s, who had grown up in California, barely even remembering his home country of El Salvador. He felt American in every way but the papers. And there were 25 others, each with their own story, each with their own heartbreak. At first, they thought they'd be released on bond. Their lawyers filed paperwork, their families raised money, but ICE kept denying them. Flight risk, the judges said. Public safety concern, even though most had no criminal records beyond traffic tickets or minor infractions. The men began to realize this wasn't about justice. It was about a system that wanted to break them down, to make them give up and sign voluntary deportation papers. But for many, returning home meant danger, violence, persecution, poverty. So they stayed, they fought, and they waited. The detention center was more than just a holding place. It was a machine. Every phone call to family cost money, high fees charged by private companies. Every snack from the commissary was overpriced. Men who had no money had to rely on others for basics like soap and toothpaste. The guards treated them like criminals. Strip searches were routine. Medical care was slow, sometimes denied altogether. One man developed severe chest pains, begged for help, but was told to drink water and rest. Another had a tooth infection that spread so badly he couldn't eat solid food for weeks. ICE contracted private companies to run these facilities, and profit always came before people. Yet, in the middle of all that despair, the men found ways to survive. They formed a brotherhood of sorts, 28 men bound not by nationality but by suffering. They looked out for one another. They shared food, they shared stories, they shared faith. Some nights, when the lights dimmed a little, they would gather in the corner and sing hymns. Samuel's voice would rise above the others, deep and steady, filling the cell block with a sound that reminded them of home, of freedom, of dignity. Others taught each other languages, Spanish, English, French, even bits of Arabic. In that cage, they built their own small world, refusing to let ICE strip them of their humanity. One of the hardest parts was the uncertainty. Court dates kept getting postponed. Lawyers came and went. Sometimes they would sit in a courtroom for hours only to be told, "Your case is continued." Months stretched into years. Families outside grew desperate. Children cried on the phone, asking, "Daddy, when are you coming home?" Wives worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table. Parents grew old, some even passed away, while their sons remained locked up, unable to attend funerals. It wasn't just detention, it was stolen time, stolen life. After the first year, the men organized a hunger strike. They refused to eat, demanding fair hearings, demanding humane treatment. For 3 days, they held strong. ICE retaliated. Guards came in with riot gear, threatening pepper spray and solitary confinement. Some men were thrown into isolation cells, tiny rooms with no windows and no contact. The hunger strike eventually broke, but it left a mark. The men realized that their voices could shake the walls, even if just for a moment. By the second year, depression weighed heavily. Some men stopped talking, retreating into silence. Others became restless, pacing their cells like caged lions. The mental toll was brutal. Still, there were sparks of resilience. One man, Diego, began writing poetry on scraps of paper, slipping them under doors for others to read. His words spoke of hope, of freedom, of the unbreakable human spirit. Another man, Karim, drew pictures with pen ink on napkins, birds, mountains, oceans, reminders of the world beyond the fences. These small acts of creativity kept them alive. News began to leak out. Advocacy groups heard about the 28 men trapped for years without resolution. Journalists started to investigate. Families marched outside ICE offices with signs. "Free them now. Human rights for immigrants." Slowly, the world began to pay attention. Lawsuits were filed against ICE for prolonged detention without trial. Some judges finally began questioning why these men were still locked up after so long. The pressure mounted. Then came a turning point. In late 2020, after nearly 2 years, a federal court ruled that indefinite detention without bond hearings was unconstitutional. The ruling didn't free all 28 men instantly, but it cracked open the door. One by one, some began to be released. Jose was among the first. He walked out with tears streaming down his face, clutching a garbage bag with his few belongings. His children ran into his arms, and for the first time in years, he felt the warmth of freedom. Others followed, though not all. Some remained entangled in appeals, some deported despite the fight. But the story of the 28 men became a symbol, a spotlight on a system that needed change. Looking back, what haunted them most wasn't just the walls or the guards or the endless waiting. It was the knowledge that they had lost 2 full years of their lives, years that could never be returned. Birthdays, graduations, family dinners, the small ordinary moments that make a life, all stolen. Yet, in their suffering, they also found strength. They had endured the unimaginable. They had refused to be broken. And in doing so, they had exposed the truth about ICE detention to the world. Today, their story continues to inspire. Some of the men are now activists, speaking out about immigrant rights. Others quietly rebuilt their lives, working jobs, raising families, trying to heal. They carry scars, yes, but also a fierce determination. Because once you've survived 2 years in a cage, you learn that freedom is the most precious thing of all. Their story isn't just about immigration, it's about humanity, about resilience, about the fight for dignity against a system designed to strip it away. And so, when we speak of those 28 men trapped in ICE for 2 years, we are not just telling a story of suffering. We are telling a story of survival, of courage, and of the unyielding human spirit that refuses to be silenced. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it, talk about it, and make sure the world knows what's happening behind closed doors. Every voice matters, yours matters. Subscribe now, because together we can shine a light on the hidden stories and fight for justice where it's needed most. Let's make sure no one else spends years trapped in silence. Hit that subscribe button, and let's be the change.